2023 Honda Pilot first look, better looking, more rugged, more family-friendly. The new 4th generation Pilot, including TrailSport, adds style to all that utility. The Honda Pilot has experienced some rotten timing over the years. After helping establish the 3-row crossover segment with its highly successful first generation, Honda decided to switch things up and make a boxier, more rugged second generation. Unfortunately, that coincided with a gas price surge that sent shoppers away from boxy, rugged vehicles. The 3rd generation went back to what worked originally, but was perhaps too much of a course correction, as boxy and rugged made a comeback in recent years. Now, to see if the 4th time's a charm, the all-new, 4th generation 2023 Honda Pilot arrives as a sort of blending of the two approaches. The styling is indeed boxier than its melted soap predecessor, with the Honda Pilot TrailSport version leaning heavily into the rugged realm, but Honda didn't go full forerunner here. There is still a clean refinement to the design, which, when combined with the boxy silhouette, is a bit reminiscent of the Volvo XC90. Any comparison to that timeless beauty is always a good thing. Ornamentation is similarly restrained, and in person, both the Elite and TrailSport versions certainly put the 2023 Pilot in the running for the segment's best looking. At very least, it's a lot less minivan adjacent now. The new Pilot is nearly 3 inches longer, with a similarly lengthened wheelbase, making it a bit more minivan adjacent inside. That's especially true of the novel new second-row seating arrangement standard on the Touring and Elite trims. At first look, it's a bench seat, but as in the Odyssey and the Pilot's Acura MDX cousin, the middle seat folds to create a console-like armrest, or, here's the big part, be removed completely from the car. There's no need to choose between 8-passenger bench seat or 7-passenger captain's chairs at the dealer, unless you're in the price range of a Sport, XL or TrailSport. But here's the even bigger part, that middle seat can actually be stored inside the Pilot behind the 3rd row and under the cargo floor. There's a strap and tie-down points included as well. It's not exactly light or easy to pull the seat out, but the fact that it's possible is really impressive. 3rd row space grows by 2.5 extra inches of legroom, and is even friendlier for bigger teens and adults. A 6-foot 3-person fit quite comfortably back there. Cargo space explodes by 6 cubic feet behind that 3rd row from a decent 16.5 cubes to 22.4. Apparently, that does not include the huge underfloor area, which as before, can be utilized to carry even more luggage. We'll be curious to see how much better the new Pilot is in a luggage test than its already impressive predecessor. Elsewhere in the cabin, the Pilot gets the same infotainment options as the Civic, HR-V and CR-V before it. That's great news, as the outgoing Pilot's touchscreen was quite old and wasn't that good when new. The base Sport trim gets a 7-inch touchscreen, while everything else gets the 9-inch unit along with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, plus wireless charging. The Sport requires a wire. The design surrounding that touchscreen is surprisingly not to chip off the Civic block, foregoing the classy metal look mesh air vents spanning the dash. Instead, the look is far more interesting than before and vaguely reminiscent of a Land Rover, which isn't a bad thing, and certainly in keeping with the more rugged vibe. The center console design isn't quite as uber-utilitarian as the outgoing one, but a shelf forward of the passenger makes its return to the Pilot. It was found on that boxy 2nd generation. Overall materials quality is competitive for the segment. Mechanically, this is indeed an all-new Pilot, which resides on a new light truck architecture shared in part with the Acura MDX. The structure, steering column and suspension are significantly stiffer, with the latter adopting a new multi-link setup at the rear. Sharper handling and agility are promised thanks to a revised variable steering ratio, and the brakes are bigger, too. The engine may seem the same at first blush, but is in fact a new DOHC 3.5 liter in place of the outgoing SA HC 3.5 liter. Outgoing stays steady at 285 horsepower and 262 pound-feet, up from 280 horsepower and 262 pounds-to-foot. A 10-speed automatic returns and is paired with pedal shifters for manual control. Standard on the TrailSport and Elite, and optional on the other trims, is the second generation of Honda's IVTM4 torque vectoring all-wheel drive system. It features a stronger rear diff that can handle 40% more torque while responding 30% quicker. As much as 70% of the engine's power can be sent to the rear axle, with 100% of that transferred to one wheel. That would be the torque vectoring bit, which is a boon when off-roading, in poor traction conditions, and when driving vigorously on a back road. If new Pilot's strengthened chassis can take better advantage of IVTM4's talents, it certainly has the hardware in place to be one of the better three-row crossovers to drive. As for the 2023 Honda Pilot TrailSport, it gets an off-road tuned suspension with a 1-inch lift over a still-to-be-announced standard ground clearance. Approach and departure angles improve, too. The stabilizer bars, spring rates and damper valve tuning are exclusive to the TrailSport, as are a full-size spare and the 18-inch wheels, stamped with TrailSport, wrapped in Continental Terrain Contact all-terrain tires. Skid plates protect the oil pan, transmission and gas tank, and Honda says they are capable of supporting the entire TBA curb weight crashing down on a rock.